I don't know about you guys out there, but for me, if you want to talk about your successes, you have to talk about your failures. And if you've been around at the channel for a while, you'll know that if I'm doing a BBC, a Billionaire Boys Club collaboration, I absolutely have to talk about this right here. That's the Billionaire Boys Club. Pharrell Williams, Adidas Human Race mashup from back at the, I'm going to go with the back end of 2018. I had this challenge just for a few months at the time. Got those in hand, tried to do a video. The video was a disaster. The high point, or should I say low point, was when I tried to put them on feet and I snapped one of the threads in the shoe, and you hear this crack in the video when that happens, and then I'm just like, it's bad. You know, it's not a good video. There's nothing good about it. But I have to put that in there because also when we're talking about Reebok Instapump Furies Boost, we got to throw up the OG ones that we talked about probably about a year ago now. And I actually saw them on feet recently, which is kind of rare. I don't usually see them on feet, the Instapump Fury Boost. And what we're talking about is 4 colorways, I think it was, that came out first back about a year ago. And what they did was they put that Boost midsole from Adidas on one of the most famous Reebok silhouettes, the Reebok Instapump Furies. And not only that, but they also wrapped around it a really interesting piece of elastic to give it some more definition and really make clear that connection between Adidas and Reebok, both in the same stable, but adding on that Instapump Fury silhouette from Reebok, the classic sort of step forward, pun intended, of the Boost midsole technology, and mashed those together. And then here we are, you know, a year later from that, 2.5 years later from the BBC disaster, and they're mashing it together. And that's the shoes that I'm going to be talking about to you today, because there's 2 coming up for this release. So let's get into it and have a look at the upcoming release of the Reebok Instapump Fury Boost Billionaire Boys Club Water and Earth. This is the Tokyo Bara 23 Secret Channel. Tokyo Bara 23 Secret Channelです。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください。And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And I don't mind telling you that when I was looking at these guys, as always, planning the videos, researching, checking it out, Mrs. Butter had a look over my shoulder and she was looking at the light blue ones. She was like, yes, they're perfect for our 3-year-old. And I have absolutely no idea if they come in little kiddie sizes. My daughter wears round about 15 to 15.5 centimeters, and I have no idea if they go down to that small run, but it would be great to get them on foot for my little one, especially as she's not too far away from starting school, and these would be perfect for that. Preschool, admittedly, but still. But it's a great shoe, great pair of shoes, great collaboration with the Billionaire Boys Club. You know, I'm here in Tokyo, Japan. I have to talk about a shoe like this. I'm sure I've got this right, and if I've got this way wrong, I totally apologize, but I think the Billionaire Boys Club brand is owned by Nigo. Nigo is a Japanese entrepreneur, DJ, who founded, if I'm not mistaken, the Bape line and the many other things. There's something else that spun off of the Bape, and I can't put my finger on it right now, but very sort of contemporary, very, you know, of our time. And the Billionaire Boys Club is one of those brands that kind of rolled off of that, and its insignia is that astronaut head. So that will play a part in today's video, but also, you know, the different hits on this pair of shoes. It's the earth and the waters that we're talking about. Those light blue ones, the ones that Mrs. Butter took a fancy to, are of course the water ones, and then the green ones are the earth ones. And hopefully what I've been able to do is mash them together in an interesting thumbnail for you guys. I do like to do that when you have a pair of shoes, you know, that are part of a pack, and you just chop it right down the middle, smash them together in this hybrid, and then people get mistaken. They're like, wow, that's an interesting 2-tone Instapump Fury. Sorry, it's actually the 2 different halves of 2 different shoes, because it's a 2-shoe pack that we're looking at today. So without further ado, let's do this. Let's get into this. Let's stop this cat and mouse game, because that's what I'm talking about right here, is a previous set of Instapump Furies, which was the Tom and Jerry's, and they were like a wild pair of shoes with a very hairy, kind of furry upper on those guys, and that's just another sort of in this lineage of interesting Instapump Furies that have been coming out over the last maybe 2 years. We've had some pretty cool collaborations in this Billionaire Boys Club mashup with that Boost midsole on there to give it a whole slant in that direction as well. So without further ado, into this. I'm going to start down low and have a look at that midsole and also the outsole on these guys. So hopefully I'm finding a way to zoom in pretty close so you can see that classic, iconic, very unique design that is the Boost midsole. It kind of looks like a bunch of little balls that have been fused together, that Boost technology, which is insanely comfortable. I don't know if you guys out there have worn a pair of fully Boost sneakers, but to me, one of the most comfortable sneakers I've ever worn. I would say I own 8 pairs of sneakers that have Boost technology in them. NMDR1s, NMDR2s, Ultra Boost uncaged and Ultra Boost fully caged, if you know what I'm saying. I think that's it. But I don't have a pair of these Instapump Fury Boosts, but I would imagine they're as comfortable as can be with that Boost technology down below. So hopefully I've zoomed in on that. But not only that, there's a couple of things on the outsole side of things that are worth looking at. One's a bit of a letdown and the other one's a bit of a let up, if that's the opposite of let down. Let down is that mid-foot shank, if we can call that, classic Fury silhouette design, the huge space right through the middle of the mid-foot on the midsole. One of the most sort of step forwards in technology that people really appreciate about these guys. I think they could have done more. Hopefully what I've been able to do is to show you either one or both of the mid-foot shanks on these guys that you see, and I think that's where we could have seen a bit of branding, a head of branding, maybe something tessellated, you know, many little astronaut heads, or just one big astronaut head to go with that Billionaire Boys Club theme. But they didn't go with that down there on the mid-foot shank. But what they did do is go with a gum sole outsole, and I think it works especially well on the earth side of things because of that brown giving it an earthy feel. The water side of things, maybe it still works because, you know, if you think of, say, riverside or you know, the beachfront or whatever, you know, where water meets land, and the gum sole can be the land, and then of course the light blue of it be the water, so it still kind of works. But of the two, the one that I feel really zones in is that earth with the gum sole on there. So that's the bottom half of the shoe, the Boost technology in there, the gum soles on both, and then a bit of a sort of simple mid-foot shank that I think they could have done a little bit more with. And then coming up onto the top half of the shoe is a lot of details and a lot of hits. One of my favorite little things on these guys that I wasn't really expecting to sort of talk about was like, you know what, I actually kind of dig that. It's the pin stripe line that sort of runs as a border around the segments on the upper, and hopefully I've zoomed in on one of the pairs here behind us and you can see what I'm talking about, that within the sections of the upper you've got a kind of pin stripe line that adds a little bit of definition, almost a little bit of 3D design in there. And then if we go even further up from that, you get to the Instapump pump on it, which is where they've started putting a lot of different branding on shoes. Like I said, those Tom and Jerry's earlier, where Tom had his face on the pump, but in the case of these guys, it's that astronaut head that I was talking about before. And really, I haven't seen anywhere else on the shoes that gives you a hint about that collaboration. I don't see the letters BBC or the words Billionaire Boys Club on there. It's just up there on that pump at the top of the tongue system, if we can call it that, 'cause it's not really tongue, is the one place where I've seen some branding, that astronaut head on there. But then another thing that's not really part of the shoe, and that's why I didn't want to say put it together with that BBC collaboration, is the hang tag on the side, which obviously you can take off, and hopefully I've done a good job of showing you here. I think what I've done is turned the picture 90 degrees so it can fit that whole rocket in, because it's such a big thing. If it was in its natural state, you wouldn't be able to see the top or the bottom depending on how it's cropped on the screen, but because I've turned it 90 degrees you can see the full length of that hang tag which comes on the side of these guys. So that of course is a little shout out to the collaboration, but the actual shoe itself is just that pump right at the top there with the astronaut's head in it. And then not too far back from that, we won't look down on the inside. What we'll do is we'll look at this right here. Here's a picture of the actual insoles removed, and you can see this whole sort of star galaxy sort of effect that goes really well with that astronaut motif that we already talked about at the top there. Again though, if I'm remembering rightly, there's nothing on there that actually signifies the collaboration. It's just a very interesting kind of galactic feel to the insole on these guys. And then the final thing I do is, is to talk about a couple of things. I just wanted to point out on the water version, there's kind of an odd little hit of yellow at the toe, which is then repeated again, that odd little hit of yellow at the heel, and I'm not entirely sure what they were going with on that when it's supposed to be water on the shoe. And then the other thing is that both pairs of shoes up high on the pulled tabs, they come in red, and it's the only kind of commonality between the shoes is that red pulled tabs up high. high and the gum soles down low, and everything else is changed out for different colours. If I remember rightly, even the pumps are different colours, even though they both house that astronaut branding on there. So that's a total look at these guys. Hopefully that gives you a perspective about what they look like, whether or not they're worth getting your hands on. Is this going to be a better Billionaire Boys Club collaboration than those human races from 2.5 years ago where the channel started out? Fingers crossed it is, and a lot of people will be interested, and maybe, just maybe, they'll come in a small enough size for my little princess to get a pair too. For now though, it's time for me to just wrap this one up and finish this video for today. We're keeping that daily content coming every single day, churning out the content for you guys out there, and hopefully you guys appreciate that. For me, it's great to have you guys watching, dropping comments and liking videos. So with that being said, I'm just going to check off. Thank you for being here today, and I'll do the thing I do at the end of every single video, which is remind you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.